What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Clark Duke's here. Brand new movie, Arkansas, coming out. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
You got it. I'm doing well. So I really enjoyed your movie. It was cool to see you doing your thing with a bunch of people that we've seen a ton of, but we kind of see them in a different way in this movie. So what was it like directing it and putting it all together?
I love directing it. I mean, like you said, the cast is so awesome that it really made it makes directing a lot easier when the actors are that good. It makes your job a lot easier. But I loved it. That's what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, totally. How'd you get everybody in the mix for this one?
They liked the script. They just responded to the script. That's really all you got to get actors at the end of the day, if they like the material.
Yeah, I feel you. You know, it's one thing to direct. It's another thing to direct guys like John Malkovich, Liam Hemsworth, Vince Vaughn, Vivica A. Fox. I mean, like, what was the biggest challenge for you just as a director?
Honestly, like I said, working with all of them was easy because they're all such total pros. Like they don't need a whole lot of directing to just little like just pushing them in little directions here and there. They made it easy. I mean, acting in the film and directing was challenging at times, just because you've got to compartmentalize a lot of different stuff in your brain, and you just get tired, frankly, at a certain point.
I really enjoyed the music selections you guys had. I also enjoyed the wardrobe, especially your shirts you had going on. So how important are little decisions like that throughout the movie?
I mean, I think they're huge. That's like the texture of the film, and I'm glad you said both of those things because I those are all my shirts in the movie mostly. And I had a really specific look in mind I wanted for this guy. And so I feel like we pulled it off if you noticed it and liked it, so that's good. And the music, the same thing. I thought it was fun to do, and we lucked out by getting the Flaming Lips to do all the music in the movie. Is unbelievable. All the cover songs
certainly makes a difference, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, obviously nobody's seen it yet, but the Flaming Lips cover all the songs in the film.
Well, I feel like it's an interesting time to have a movie because this one will go right to digital. And, a lot of movies have been doing that. But what do you think about that idea as opposed to getting the theatrical run and then onto digital?
I mean, me personally, I love the theatrical experience. And I was pretty devastated that we didn't get to premiere at South by Southwest and come out in theaters. But, I think we were already on the way to having VOD be the dominant kind of distribution model anyway. I think this has just sped the process up. I thought it would take longer for the studios to just put everything like straight to video instead of holding it off, but I thought it would take like months, and it took like 2 weeks. So I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, like you said, it's definitely an interesting time. I hope theaters aren't destroyed by it. I hope they come back. But there's also the reality that all that gets a big theatrical release now is Disney Marvel stuff. Unless you're in New York or LA, you're probably not watching indie films in a theater anyway.
Right.
So I'm not sure that it'll affect my movie, that much in the big scheme of things, because I think most people were going to find it on VOD or on DVD regardless. So I don't know. I don't know. I hope like the word will get out the same. Maybe it will. Maybe you'll get more people watching it because they're strapped at home. They got to watch stuff.
We definitely need some new options, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, going to theater is a fun experience, and I mean, especially like growing up as kids, like that's the thing to do. So like, what are some movies that you saw in the theater early on that like really stuck with you?
I mean, to be honest, like I grew up in rural Arkansas, so I mean, most of the movies that I love that made me want to be a filmmaker, I didn't see in theaters. Stuff like Tarantino, and also I was too young, but I could rent them. Like my mom told the video store guy, like, yeah, let him rent whatever he wants. So, I remember like when I was way too young watching, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Boogie Nights and like those are my guys, like all the like late 90s Miramax guys, like 97, 98, 99. Fight Club was big, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, like all those kind of movies everybody had the posters of in like 1999. Like I didn't see most of those in a theater because of where I lived. But now that I've lived in LA, the last 10 years. It's since I went to college. The theaters are great here. You know, you've got the ArcLight, you've got the Landmark. Now there's the Alamo Draft House downtown opened up, and there's the Arrow, the Egyptian, New Beverly. Like, you actually can go watch revival movies and indie movies. But so I don't think it'll change in LA ever, because yeah, you know, it just won't here probably. But I hope theaters aren't I hope they're not further marginalized, and I hope that it doesn't like narrow the scope even more to just like Disney stuff.
Yeah, because it really limits what people are going to see. Like, those movies have an audience, but like, I want to see more besides that. Like, there's a ton of great stuff being made out there.
And you know,
like, your film is really an example of that.
and I think a lot of people feel the same way, because like when MoviePass briefly existed, like, because I've always went to movies on like weekdays and matinees and saw, you know, small films, and the theaters were packed all of a sudden. Like, I wasn't the only person in there. So that lets you know that like people do like going to the theater, and they will watch other stuff in a theater. I don't know if like the pricing model is the problem or what, but I mean, to me, like, MoviePass was just too good to be true, but MoviePass proved to me that like people will go to the theater and watch small movies.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll probably figure out the pricing model, especially too as they figure out like the on-demand model too and what that looks like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a lot to be determined. But I think you've had a great career so far, and I've watched a ton of your stuff. So like, what was the first one for you where you're like, all right, I'm doing this acting thing. Like, this is going to be my thing.
I mean, I've acted since I was a kid, basically. So I'd always enjoyed acting. I mean, out of college, like Clark and Michael, the web series of me and Michael Cera, that was like okay, like I feel like I can like work and have a career. You know, Hot Tub Time Machine was the first movie that came out that then after that my kind of walking around recognition changed. Like just people like knew you could from that. The Office, being on The Office was a thing like afterwards that you can feel the difference of like, oh wow, a lot of people watch The Office. Like it kind of registers for me, like in my like, how many people in an airport are like looking at you or talking to you now, type of thing, and you could feel it in like waves. Like I said, like Hot Tub Time Machine and Kick-Ass came out like a month apart, and like that was all of a sudden like that I could feel it in airports, and then like The Office was another one, like, oh, it's a whole new group of people, and then like when I was on 2.5 Minutes, like, oh, like here's like a group of older people that are like noticing me now. So it's just funny. It just kind of comes in waves. And it kind of depends on, I guess, the demographic of like who knows you from what.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that. I mean, Hot Tub Time Machine was awesome, and you're great in that. And I talked to Rob Corddry about it last year. Like, the fun you guys must have had in that was pretty cool. So what was the most memorable part of it?
Oh man, I mean, making those two movies is probably about the most fun I've ever had. And I made a movie called Sex Drive that we shot in Miami.
Yeah,
Florida.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I was like 21 and we're down in Miami. That was also that and the two Hot Tub movies, the most fun I've ever had, hands down. And I love those guys. I mean, I talked to Craig a couple nights ago, and I talked to Rob all the time. Like, yeah, Hot Tub was big, man. Hot Tub really like was like a life changer in a lot of ways, I guess.
Does Sex Drive still have legs? Like, do people still ask you about that one?
Yeah, I get Sex Drive. Yeah, I mean, it's just on cable all the time. It's one of those movies.
That's where I saw it, like, you know, when it was out.
Yeah, it's like Saving Silverman. Like, both those movies are just constantly on TV.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Superbad, like, you pop into that one too. That's another one that comes up from time to time too. You're just randomly hanging out in the back there.
I got that one line, yeah.
So yeah, it's fun that you can pop in stuff like that. And then like, how about The Office? I mean, like, that show has this great run. You pop in at the end with Jake Lacy. Like, what was your favorite part of that experience?
Well, I was a big fan of the show, and the British Office, you know, came out when I was in college, and basically gave us like the idea of what we wanted to do, and that ended up becoming Clark and Michael. So getting on The Office felt really full circle to me, like, because it felt like it had kind of helped start my career as an adult in a big way. So I love being on the show. I was a big fan of the show. I thought it was going to keep going. I wish I was still on there right now.
Yeah, that would be awesome. What do you think the biggest differences are from like when you were a kid in the industry to like where you're at right now?
Oh man, everything. I mean, it's, it was all broadcast network sitcoms then, and now it's like two different industries.
Hmm.
Everything. I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, I mean, like think about when
It's
you were
so
in
different now than it was 10 years ago. Like, I mean, when I start, like, I mean, because they used to make a lot of comedies because you had DVD sales. And now that once DVD went away and streaming started, that's why there's no comedies, basically, because that whole revenue stream's gone. So, I mean, everything just keeps changing. Um, we'll see what happens. I mean, I just hope people find this movie more than anything. But like I said, I think the reality is most people were going to find it on VOD and DVD anyway. They weren't going to watch it in the theater.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
think people would just be hanging out at home and they see this on Amazon or they see this on iTunes and they see your name, they see everybody else, and it's an interesting story. So I feel like, and it's something you bang out in 2 hours and it's a good watch.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And it's exciting to me because as somebody that grew up in the middle of the country, pre-streaming, pre-iTunes, pre-everything being instantly available, it's cool that you don't have to fight so hard to find stuff and search stuff out now. Like everybody is on a level playing field. Like that's kind of cool. So
Yeah, and I mean that's the power of social media too. Is like people start pumping it out, and it can reach those different pockets of the country that may not get the same shine if they don't know how to watch a movie on Amazon or how to find it
yeah.
online.
I just got on Lionsgate had me get on Instagram to promote the movie, so I've been on Instagram for like a month.
What's that been like for you so far?
It's fine. Everybody's been generally pretty nice so far. It's fun. It kind of like makes you feel like you're connected with society, especially right now with everybody locked in their houses. It's kind of like really nice to have right now, just to like keep in touch with what everybody's up to.
What do you think people in Arkansas will think about the movie?
I hope they like it. I mean, I hope they appreciate that it's made by somebody from there that understands the tone and the people. And I just wanted to make something that felt authentically Southern without being exploitative or like a cartoon version of the South. Like I wanted the movie to. I didn't want the movie to feel like a fake Southern accent.
Yeah, you see those movies that are like super stereotypical or just really exaggerated, and you're like, this isn't my experience. This isn't it.
Yeah, and especially not Arkansas, because Arkansas is not like, it's not Georgia, it's not like that old, like the old timey antebellum South. Like Arkansas is kind of a weird no man's land between like the South and the Midwest, and I don't know. I just you don't see. I hadn't seen it portrayed in film very much, and I couldn't recall seeing a gangster movie set there.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. Never seen anything like this. That's for sure. What are some other things you still want to do? I mean, you've done the acting, you've done the directing. What else piques your interest?
I want to keep writing and directing. That's my main focus. What I'd like to do going forward.
Good deal. Well, Clark, thanks for hanging out, man. Be well, and we'll talk to you down the road. All right.
All right, man. Stay safe.